And behold, the glory of the God of Israel was there, according to the vision that I saw in the plain. Now, what was this image of jealousy? Well, there's one standing in the door of the Vatican, lined up with the front door. It's the obelisk, the obelisk. It stood at Beth Shemesh, or Heliopolis. That very same one was moved to Rome by one of the popes. It's not just a facsimile, it's the original image of jealousy that now stands in Rome. We have one in Washington, D.C., the Washington Monument. That's an obelisk. 555 feet tall. When you add the supports and the base underneath, it equals 666 feet. Little pyramid at the top with two windows. And they keep a red light on in there. At night you can see, it looks like two red eyes on the top of this creepy looking object, 555 feet high, highest object in Washington, D.C., overlooking the city. This big, massive piece of masonry. And that's what it is. Then said he unto me, Son of man, lift up thine eyes now, the way toward the north. So I lifted up mine eyes the way toward the north, and behold, northward at the gate of the altar, this image of jealousy in the entry. That's where Rome has it, right in the entry. Right, lined up with, you can look in the encyclopedia, get a top view. You'll see it's lined up right with the entry. If that doesn't mark that place as Antichrist, I don't know what would. And having one in Washington, D.C., next to the ellipse, that egg-shaped field. And in the White House, you've got an oval office, an egg-shaped office. Hey, that shout is going to be heard in there, too. As Obama sits at his little desk and hears that voice, enough! And it comes from everywhere. Hey, everybody's going to know it at the same time. He said, furthermore unto me, Son of man, seest thou what they do? Even the great abominations that the house of Israel committeth here. No, it's committeth. They keep committing over and over and over. ETH means they keep doing it. That I should go far off from my sanctuary? But turn thee yet again, and thou shalt see greater abominations. God's saying, wait, Ezekiel, it gets worse. And he brought me to the door of the court. And when I looked, behold, a hole in the wall. There's always a hole in the wall. You're always going to find out. They can't keep it secret altogether, can they? Then said he unto me, Son of man, dig now in the wall. And when I had digged in the wall, behold, a door. And he said unto me, go in and behold the wicked abominations that they do here. I remember walking in the house of the temple in Washington, D.C., and into their Masonic chamber, being guided by a 33rd degree Scottish Rite Mason, the keeper of that place. Walked right past Klein Connect's office with the big Egyptian things in the front of it there. Idolatry, idolatry. And I walked in there and they had creeping snakes and things all over the walls, except the north wall was blank. John knows why. North wall was blank. Why? What's in the sides of the north? Heaven. They don't want anything to do with that. All right? So I went in and saw, and behold, every form of creeping things. The place is full of creeps. Every form of creeping things and abominable beasts, and all the idols of the house of Israel portrayed upon the wall round about. Folks, that is what I saw in the house of the temple, 13 blocks from the White House. And that's no coincidence either. And there stood before them 70 men of the ancients of the house of Israel, and in the midst of them stood Jaazaniah, the son of Shaphan, with every man his censer in his hand, and a thick cloud of incense went up. Do you ever see these big Catholic ceremonies of the clouds of incense going up? Huh? Now come on. It's idolatry. Then said he unto me, Son of man, hast thou seen what the ancients, the old ones, the ones who should know better, of the house of Israel do in the dark, every man Where? In the chambers of his imagery, the chambers of his idols, the chambers of his imagination. For they say, the Lord seeth us not, the Lord hath forsaken the earth. That's a doctrine called deism. The Masons believe that God created the world. He's the supreme architect of the universe, but he left it up to us to run it. He wound it up and threw it out there, and we have to take care of it. We, who are gifted, must rule over those who are less gifted. Now the Prime Minister of Australia said, it's time for a new world order. And we need to fix the economic system by having social capitalism, which is socialism, which means the government owns and runs everything, which is the same thing as communism. Come on, who set up the UN? Who drew it up? Men with these nice names like Litvinov, Kaganovich, Pozvalsky, copied word for word from Russia's communist constitution. And that's the UN Charter, and we bought it. Oh, I wish I had more time to go into detail on these. We're almost out of time. I'm not finished yet. He said also unto me, turn thee yet again, and thou shalt see greater abominations than they do. Watch, it gets worse. Then he brought me to the door of the gate of the Lord's house, which was toward the north, and behold, there sat women weeping for Tammuz. Tammuz was the son of the sun god. You worshipped him by making a T in front of your chest with your hands. All right? His favorite animal was the bunny rabbit. Hey, where did Easter come from? Jesus died at the time of the Passover. And that can be 3.5 weeks away from Easter. Easter is always the first Sunday after the first full moon after the spring equinox. It's a pagan holiday. All the churches get together. They all get Catholic that day. They bring in the lilies, and they go through all their things, and hey, they make a big deal out of it, don't they? That Luciferian day. Women weeping for Tammuz. Do you ever see these? I've been in cathedrals to observe, and I see women kneeling down, tears rolling down their face with their rosaries, and they're praying their rosaries and walking around the beads with that, and the tears are rolling in front of a big idol. Weeping for Tammuz. Back in these days, they had a metal bronze statue of Tammuz, and they put lead eyeballs in it, lead balls in the eye sockets. They started a fire behind it so that as the women wept for Tammuz, the lead would melt and there'd be lead tears rolling down the idol's face like the idol was crying along with them. And that would enhance their weeping and weeping and weeping, and a spirit of weeping would overcome them. And everybody around would start weeping. These are spirits. These are devils. Devils are religious. You'd be surprised how religious Satan is. Come on. He loves religious things. He loves religious bookstores. Is this a little unorthodox today? I don't know how else to do it. Oh, we got to lift the sword and start cutting away at this stuff. So he brought me. Now, notice it's going to get worse here. Women weeping for Tammuz, the false god. Then said he unto me, hast thou seen this, O son of man? Turn thee yet again, and thou shalt see greater abominations than these. And he brought me into the inner court of the Lord's house, and behold, at the door of the temple of the Lord, between the porch and the altar, were about 25 men, with their backs toward the temple of the Lord, and their faces toward the east. And they worshiped the sun toward the east. It was dawning. It was day 665. Now it's day 666. They're worshiping the sun in the east. Did you ever hear of a sunrise service at Easter time? Abomination of abominations. And God says that is the last straw.